this happened to me. I mean, I knew a lot of African-American friends of mine as I was growing up, and I saw that something in the wake of the civil rights movement seemed to be blocking black progress. We all thought life was going to get better for black Americans, and something seemed to be in the way. I mean, sure, we have a black president, and we have black celebrities, but there's no lying to ourselves. For the masses of black people in this country, the leading indicators are very frightening about where black life has gone. And when I did my research and started to investigate to make the film, I discovered that, in fact, what was happening was the war on drugs. That was the primary culprit I could see that was getting in the way of black progress.
For one thing, it prevents a lot of them from voting. You know, we hear all of this nowadays about the voter ID laws,
yes,
you know, which I think most of them are getting struck down now, but forget the voter ID laws. What mostly prevents black people from voting is that drug laws send them to prison and then they can't vote.
Yeah, the thing that so many of us don't think about, because it doesn't touch us directly all too often, is all the things that putting someone in jail for drugs does to that person, to their family, to the community they come from. It's shattering. And they have a problem very often. Very often they're involved in drug abuse, and so they're hurting themselves. They're trying to self-medicate. They're in pain, either because they're poor or for some other reason. And so we come to them and say, I understand your pain. I'm going to give you a lot more pain now. I'm going to put you in jail. I'm going to make the rest of your life a slippery slope that you can't get out of, and then let's see how you pull yourself up by your bootstraps and show us some personal responsibility. It's very cynical and heartbreaking.
It's horrible. And it's kind of ironic because, you know, it's sort of itself an addiction. You know, drugs are an addiction, of course. Sure. That's the reason they use to crack down. But the drug war is an addiction, really.
Sure. I mean, we run a prison industrial system in this country, essentially a system of mass incarceration. And it is basically the livelihood of many, many, many Americans and many politicians who rely on prison guards. But they are not the villain. They are caught in a system that they didn't create.
Right, but people always say, you know, we'll throw these people out of work. Like, you know what? If you're a prison guard and the rationale for you keeping this job is keeping innocent people in jail, get a new fucking job. Find something else to do.
I understand.
It's astounding to me that this is a rationale that people will lose their jobs.
Yes, and I would say, look, the system of mass incarceration relies upon a steady flow of human beings who are being booked inappropriately, having laws thrown at them that are inappropriate. I talk to insiders up and down the chain of command in this country, up and down the chain of the drug war, for making the film. Because when we went across the country, 25 states, I couldn't find anybody inside the system who wouldn't tell me in one way or another, I know that this is broken. I don't like what I do. I can't even explain what I do to my kid because it doesn't make sense and it's not morally right.
Yeah, I mean, it's ruined the relation between the police and the community, for one thing. And police really spend too much of their time on this.
Look at New York City. In New York City, for example, we have 700,000 stops a year of young people on the street, usually black and Latino, about 90%. Of those, about half become a stop and frisk, as you hear about. That's 350,000 stop and frisks a year. Only 10% lead to an arrest. The other 90%, all you've done is denigrate this young person, embarrass them in front of their community, make them feel horrible about authority, and then you want to ask them to say, hey, trust your teacher, trust the police, trust your social worker.
Well.